Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. It's really good to be with you a little bit later this evening, but we're always really flexible because we have a global community. And this week we have Oliver, who's speaking to us from Germany. And next week we have Anne, and you can see that there are a few open slots that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in sharing your story, what you're doing out in the world, how it relates to exponential organizations, do let me know. Apply on the marketplace, send me a message, find me on the platform, and let's share your story with the OpenExO community and beyond. And before we get Oliver up on screen, I do have a few messages that come from some of our community members. And the first one is, it's taken a while to show up. Here it is. It's from Gerard. And he says, Oliver is a sharp-minded, trustworthy, seasoned, like-minded professional. He wants to have an impact on the world and make it a better place. He is a purpose-driven, but does not forget about sustainable finance and the viability of an idea and social impact. He has a systemic and agnostic eye for detail and can put them in the right context for people, teams, and organizations. Happy that I got to know Oliver and that we have been creating a community based on collective collaboration, engagement, and venturing. With like-minded game changers. We have only engaged digitally, but we have a natural fit. Next, we have from Michael Freber. Oliver is an innovation enthusiast and exponential geek by training, someone who is always there in the world of new concepts, ideas, and methodologies. One that always contributes, comments, shares, and supports. A really great individual and someone I am grateful to have met in the OpenExO community. In the meantime, we do many things together and appreciate the input and contributions of the other. Wonderful to work with you and to be able to count on you. Then we have from Julia, and she says, Oliver possesses exceptional talents in inspiring and guiding others, as well as providing insightful feedback. Coupled with his extensive experience in exponential and agile transformation, his knack for approaching challenges from the various perspectives, emphasizing crucial themes for clarity and fostering empathy, fosters an environment of teamwork and collaboration. He is also highly organized and efficient in his work and brings a positive and humorous attitude to any project. It has been a pleasure working with Oliver, and I'm grateful for the many exciting projects we've collaborated on together. And then lastly, from Dietmar, I've had the honor of working with Oliver within the DACH OpenExO community and can confidently say that he is an exceptional leader, mentor, coach, and team player. He goes above and beyond to ensure the customer needs are always met while providing guidance and support to help his team members reach their full potential. As an OpenExO ambassador, Oliver is a tireless advocate for the idea of exponential organizations and has been instrumental in driving the growth and success of the German-speaking OpenExO community. His key qualities include encouragement of team members, a deep understanding of employee development, and brilliant communication skills. He is a master of emotional intelligence and a gifted networker. I cannot recommend Oliver highly enough for any project or initiative. He is truly a valuable asset to the OpenExO community. And so with that, I want to welcome Oliver onto screen. Oliver, welcome. How are you doing this evening?
Very good. Thank you very much, Kevin. So after having read all these mentions, well, it's hard to get any better beyond that.
No,
No, thank
absolutely.
you.
I mean, people are really eloquent, perhaps using AI to help them. And
Maybe
actually, there were so many people who were ready to share, and that's, I think, just testament to the fact that you've met quite a few people in the community, worked with quite a few people, and so for those people who don't know Oliver, who say, okay, this is the first time I'm seeing this guy, do you want to just share a bit of background about
Sure.
you, so people have an idea what it is you do, where you've come from, how you joined the OpenExO community?
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So first of all, on my personal side, I'm living in the southwestern part of Germany. It's close to the French border, actually. It's only 32 kilometers. So the probably closest city to be known out there in the world is Heidelberg. So it's a nice town to visit. And if anyone comes to Germany, I would recommend definitely to have a short trip into the Southern Palatinate, which is a nice wine growing area, and you can have wine tastings all around. So also in the village where I'm living with my wife, we have several vineyards and wine farmers, and it's just always a pleasure to go around and do some tasting of wines, which you don't get normally in markets and that kind of thing. I'm close to 60 years old now, and how did what I did in my professional life? I have a computer science background. I started with the German Armed Forces, which was mid 80s last century, and then worked a couple of years in the military, also for NATO, and then joined telecommunications. And I've been working in the European space of telecommunications for quite some years. Half of my time, which was about like 22 years, was in customer services, where I both had business design responsibilities, but also was working as a service center head for one of these locations in Germany. And I also took a wider responsibility for customer services within the European subsidiaries. Then I changed back to my original treat, like computer science and the IT part, which was around 2006, I believe. And since then, have been working in the IT part, and did both international jobs. The most stressful, but at the same time, the most challenging and fulfilling part was doing an interim IT director's role in T-Mobile UK before they merged with Orange in 2010. So that was really good to experience different cultures. And well, then I moved on and did some bigger role within Germany. If you're interested, you can read all this on LinkedIn. But in 2016, I decided to leave the big corporation playground because I had been commuting for more than like 15 years. And I wanted to spend more time with my family, with my wife. And so we settled down completely in the Southern Palatinate, which is a beautiful area, and sort of choose to organize everything from here. I'm now running a small business in management consulting, which is an agile transformation, exponential transformation. I have started to build what is called exponential ecosystem with Jara Sinstra and some other people from the OpenExO community, also from India. And I'm working intensively with Michael Frieber. He's the healthcare guy, as you know, and I'm trying to add some more technology pieces and also to give a fresh perspective outside from medical engineering stuff. But you have also been asking what was the way that I joined OpenExO, and the funny story is, I joined OpenExO through the recommendation of a colleague of mine with whom I had worked in 2010. At that time, Edmund Koma, he was the HR business partner in telecommunications, and also, well, we had contact as business partner and IT person. But Edmund then left the company before me, and he contributed to the book Exponential Transformation, which was written by Francisco Palau and a couple of other people. And he said, "Oh, I've worked on this book, so do you want to read it?" And say, "Oh, wow, okay." So I got to know that exponential transformation piece before I got to know the ExO model. And then in 2019, it was, I think, in October, I joined the OpenExO community. And since then, I've met a lot of wonderful people, including yourself, Kevin. Sometimes I had so much contact with Yaroslav in the training parts that I saw him in a day more often than my wife, which was scary. That continued, and I did a couple of trainings also to onboard better into the exponential model. And I mean, I would also describe my way. I did a lot of work before 2010 in the so-called waterfall development of IT systems. Then I said, well, somehow that doesn't work anymore. And you know that Agile came, Agile Manifesto was done around the 2000s. So by this way, I learned how to do things better, different than beforehand. But the question was still open what to do. And ExO and the ExO model gave part of that answer to me, and to say, okay, if you want to do Agile, yeah, do it, but what is it that you should be doing in order to achieve we call it massive transformative purpose. Now I call it positive impact in the world, and how that can be achieved. So that was fascinating for me. And I also started translating stuff like the EXQ survey into German. I did some awake presentation, also translated in German. I did some of that material to build the DACH community. And for those who do not know what DACH means, in German, that's German word for roof, but DACH also stands for Deutschland, Austria, and Confederatio Helvetica. And that explains DACH, it's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So we tried to build something there, and Michael Friebe and Dietmar Wiedemann, they were really the guys who stepped up, and then also we could do lots of things together. I think there is still a bit of deceptive phase that we see, but since we started, I think at least the German community has grown from like 140 to 210 now.
Absolutely,
so that was some step up, but not the exponential curve yet. No.
It is at least a step in the right direction, right? In terms of really driving the idea of purpose-driven organizations, right? And then organizations that are making a positive impact.
Right.
And you know, you mentioned that. I always ask people about their MTP or their personal massive transformative purpose. Would you mind sharing what yours is?
No, absolutely not. And you can read it even on LinkedIn. My purpose is unlock minds and unleash human talent for making a massive positive impact. So, and this is really trying to get people on board saying, okay, yes, there's a lot of things that we have thought about in the same and repetitive way that we have done always. So we need to change perspective, and what is the ways that we can use to get fresh perspectives on the same old stuff. Like Einstein, I believe, said, you can't solve a problem by applying the same methods that created it. So
yes,
it has to be something different, and that's what also fascinated me about the exponential model. It's what can technology do in terms of helping to create new solutions, and we've seen many of those solutions coming up. On the other hand, there's always an ethical question. An ethical question about, okay, will technology be of any good? So also I also look at these developments also with a different perspective in terms of we can't rely that all technological development will always create something good, because I mean.
Yes.
You can use nuclear power for various means, and that is one point where it's like, Also, artificial intelligence, for example, is something which can turn very helpful and which can really be of a great invention, but it also can turn into something which is not in the favor of human beings or even all living beings. So we should make sure that we create an environment where this technology helps us to really create a better world.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading a LinkedIn post earlier today where they mentioned that Einstein quote, and they were speaking about a video from a company that is using AI to essentially translate video, and the AI changes the mouth movements, and ultimately also speaks in the actor's voice. So I mean, for all those actors, voice actors in Germany and Spain and France, dubbing Hollywood movies, this is something that is very detrimental for them.
Sure.
But also amazing. But then you're speaking about the negative things when now suddenly you can make a world leader say things and people just believe it's true. So yeah, you're right, but we can digress dramatically around the topic of AI and where it's going.
Yeah, I guess I've read this book from Max Tegmark, his life. I think he called it Life 3.0, being human in the age of AI, and so he says, okay, there is sort of three different scenarios that these things can take. Either it will all be good, so that is what the positive people believe. It will all be bad. And there's the middle part where we can't just be sure. So let's try to create something like a system of goals for AI so that they will always pay into sort of supporting humans or life on Earth. And that is something which is important. So the downside of it would be do not sustain life, because maybe we're polluting everything, and then AI could start to kill us for the better of the planet. Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely. Now, you already mentioned about how we have these technologies, and ultimately, they can be used for good or bad, and ultimately it's up to us to make sure that there's sort of structures in place that technologies can be leveraged well. Now, the ExO model is one way of organizing, as as structuring an organization. How would you say that you're leveraging the ExO model, and why it's important for people to sort of understand it as a way of creating organizations that are doing good?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing of doing good or bad starts with the purpose. I mean, the concept of sustainability, and I'm also part of Purpose Alliance, and there's a good approach around Purpose Launchpad. It's about creating something which has a purpose which is driving not only for profit but also supporting people on the planet. And this is this triple sustainability concept. And I would think, when I first started with the ExO model, the MTP, and as it was called Massive Transformative Purpose, that is a neutral statement which also can be good or bad. Now you can create a massive transformative purpose by whatever, starting also something which is only for profit, but is very detrimental to anything else. So it's good to say what is the system that you look at. I'm leveraging the ExO model in a sense that when talking to potential clients or when talking to startups, it's always a means to say, well, unlock your mind and see what is out there already. What is it that you can pick on, that you can use in order to either scale your business or make known the great solution that you want to put in place? What is it that others can help with? So I've been working with a startup since about a year, mentoring them currently, and they are in the space of sustainable behavior. which is sometimes even more difficult than building a technical solution, is how to change the behavior of human beings. And they are looking for something that supports people turning their current behavior into something which is sustainable for themselves in terms of health, sustainable for the planet, sustainable for society. So bringing down carbon emissions and that kind of thing in a playful way. And by talking with them, I mean, we did an EXQ survey lately and was saying, well, if you do, or if you actually execute what you plan to do, you're really great, and you will have a superb opportunity to scale. So now the question is execution, and also with existing SMEs or existing big corporations, the ExO model can open up the opportunities for new business models. And then also, and this morning we talked with Michael Friebe about some of the developments that we have seen in telecommunications. When I started off working in that space in 1992, it was all about telephony. And data transmission was like 9.6 kilobit per second for a facsimile, right? That you saw all the disruptions happening. I mean, the text messaging was a great idea. It was using an asset, by the way, that was already there, but has not been used for customer purposes. That all has gone with the open internet. And I remember the turning of the 2000s when there was a discussion on whether to open up mobile networks for the open internet or whether it should be a walled garden approach. It was good that it was made open and accessible to everyone, because that opened up the potential of data networks, mobile data network across the world, and it also provided access to billions of people who had never accessed before.
Yes, no, absolutely. And you mentioned now you know, one of the startups you're working with. How are you working with startups, and what do you generally do to like share with them? I mean, I know that, you know, there's so many in different areas as well. You know, share a little bit about you know what you are doing in that space.
The startup mentoring approach I took building on the ExO model, the ExO Sprint approach, the ExO consultancy. And then I also did a training with Francisco Palau on the purpose launchpad mentoring. And when working with startups, of course, it's first about listening, understanding what their idea is. And most of the startups, they have a great solution, or they think they have a great solution before thinking about, well, who could be my customer? So the question then is always coming into a systematic approach. And the work that I'm doing with startups is really doing some mentoring, guiding them through the 3 phases. One is exploration, finding out what the problem really is, who has that problem, is there a solution or is there several solutions, and then evaluating the assumptions that they do in order to make lay a foundation for then be able to scale. And when we come to the scale phase, the abundance part, which is then also represented by the ExO model, that comes into play. So working with startups is helping them getting into business, achieving reasonable income, meaningful income, and then scale their operations. And I'm doing this currently with this one startup I talked about. Together with Michael, I'm also mentoring some startups in the biotechnology space, and they all received funding this year from public funding in Germany. I'm working with a foundation in the US. Kate, the founder, is focusing on exploring, creating, and bringing joy to all living beings. So that is a great and massive purpose. We're currently working on how we can scale that. And I can definitely recommend, if there's anybody interested, go to joyfirstfoundation.org. That is where they have their website. You can support this also by doing some donation, and Kate will deliver joyful moments, for example, to you as veterans, to senior homes, to caretakers of senior people, that kind of thing. So
wow, Yeah, that's really great. Now you've mentioned Michael Friebe a few times, and I know that together you've been working on the community in the German speaking world, and I know that there's a big focus on health and health tech.
Sure. Yeah.
And can you share a little bit about your future of health, the design challenge and everything that you guys are working on?
First of all, who's interested, and I think Michael has done some postings, and that was a novel innovation design for the future of health. If you look at the situation, I think it's mostly of the Western nations, especially Germany. The population is growing older, and we're talking in healthcare mostly about the end of life care situation, and the cost is really increasing dramatically. So, I mean, the question is really, can people afford paying their health insurance when they get into retirement age? That's one of the key issues. The other part is we spend, only like 15% of all the money invested, which contributes to good status of health, is spent on the actual health care, and 85% of factors which can be addressed in a preventive, predictive way. So it's about the style of living that you take, it's about where you live, the cleanness of the air, the cleanness of the water. So there's lots of things which are related to that topic. And also health of human beings starts with a healthy planet. So why not spend this big money on the other 85% of that cake in order to create an environment which is healthier? So that is one big piece. And currently, this morning, we were talking about preparing a design challenge. We're going to invite about 100 people, forming like 20 teams, end of February, which is on the 28th. And for all those listening and who want to join, it will be an on-site meeting in Düsseldorf at the location of the Fachhochschule für Ökonomie und Management, which is FOM. I just posted this evening an event where Michael posted the event, and I shared it through my channels as well, where you can look up the details, where you can register, and it will be really, I believe, a fun event on one hand, but also creating lots of great ideas together with people who are in the healthcare space, but it's also with people in the HR space. Like how can we manage healthcare and healthcare staff better? So it's a great opportunity, and it's a warm invitation to join that design challenge on the 28th of February for everybody who is near here.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess if you're anywhere in Europe around, come on, you can get there. I wanted to just quickly share this, which actually came from Edmund, and he's just saying, "Hi guys, I'm grateful to work with Oliver for more than 10 years, and that I could inspire him to join OpenExO. Love to hear how the OpenExO DACH already has developed." So great to have you here listening.
Thank you, Edmund.
So really good to have you. And man, Oliver, we could talk for a very long time, and the time is coming to an end.
Sure.
You were a little bit concerned, are we going to have enough to talk about? There's still so many topics I want to talk about. We're going to have to, I don't know, share those in another way potentially. I wanted to go into a little bit more detail also about the health topic, and I think maybe as a community, we actually need to talk about that more, because there's a lot of people in the community who are really interested, a lot of people who are doing cool things, and I think if we have like real things happening, that's really what we'd like to share. But perhaps if as we end off, you can, what is that sort of one thing that you want people to know, the one thing that you'd like to share as we close out the call?
So it's a good question. I would say There's some basic values also in agile working, which is focus, commitment, courage, openness, and respect. And I think those 5 values are a good foundation for anything that you want to do. And my purpose is about creating massive positive impact. So get to know your own purpose, and then hopefully help create positive impact for the planet, the people, and also, of course, for economy and the profit.
Absolutely. Oliver, it's been so great chatting to you. It's been a while since we actually last spoke. And I do hope that I will be around Europe at least sometime this year. I've never been to the south of Germany. So, hey, if the invite's there, I'll never say no to do some wine tastings. So it's really been great chatting to you, and yeah, looking forward to connecting, seeing how the 28th goes. Please do share how that went, and yeah, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for giving me the opportunity to talk with you, and looking forward. Maybe we organize a OpenExO live healthcare session sometime in the future.
I think so. I think it's a good idea.
Excellent.
Awesome. You have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.
I do, Kevin. Bye.
So great chatting to Oliver, and do go and I will put a comment on LinkedIn about the event, or follow Oliver and see what's happening there. Do join. It's been wonderful. We'll see you all again next week when we chat to Anne Riley.